back, everybody, to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cook, and tonight we've got a really special guest, and I love it whenever I get to have a chat with other entrepreneurs. Jeff Greenswag is here tonight, who is the founder of Sauce Golf. We'll be getting into what that is, what they do over there with the sauce, and so much more, because guess what, folks? This is PGA Show Week, man. This is the time to where all the vendors get together in Orlando, and I'm not there. I don't think you're there, Jeff, but that's okay, because we're having our PGA Show Week right here on the Pull Hook Golf podcast. And before we do jump in and start discussing Jeff and his journey, first off, I'd like to give a shout out and thank you to Swanee's Golf, our sponsor, who, by the way, the Golden Lake Collection, folks, this collection has dropped. I know Swanee's has a big deal going on out there at the PGA show this year, and certainly you can get in on this action using promo code PullHookGolf25. Use that at checkout, and you will get 25% off your entire order. I've got the Clyde Polo today from the Golden Lake Collection. I've got the Wade hat, and man, I'm feeling fresh as a daisy. Feeling a lot better than I have the past couple of weeks. I know most people that have been paying attention to the show, they're like, "Matt, you didn't seem that sick." I was like, outside of doing the show, I was down. I was out, literally sleeping like 14 hours a day. It was brutal, but I am back now. I'm feeling good. I've got the Bushwood spirits going on here, and certainly let's talk about it, Jeff. I mean, my goodness, welcome to the show, first off.
Thank you, Matt, so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And no, I'm not at the PGA show right now. I'm in Denver, Colorado, but I am headed down there tomorrow morning. So I'll be down there for a couple of days. So if anyone who sees this wants to link up, you can connect with me on Instagram or email or something. So
I know I was in between whether or not I was going to jump out there or not. I decided I wasn't going to, mainly because I hadn't been feeling well. But sure, I used to go down to the PGA show, especially when I was in golf technology. It's an absolute blast. It's like the Super Bowl of golf vendors out there at out there in Orlando. But Jeff, without further ado, let's get into your journey, man. I mean, you are the founder and CEO of Sauce Golf, but before we get into Sauce, tell me a little bit about, like, how'd you get into the game of golf?
Oh, well, I think, I got into the game like a lot of guys did. My dad played. He played collegiately and, could always move the ball around the course pretty good. And it was fun to go out there as a kid with him, rake bunkers, fix pitch marks, get the pin, that kind of stuff. And that just kind of grew into me being around the game. I started caddying. I was like 13 years old at the local country club, Twin Orchard, outside of Chicago. Michael Jordan was a member there for a few years, got to interact with him a little bit. That was pretty cool. And kind of kept doing it all through school, moved out to Colorado, ended up spending about, 10, 12 years in the cannabis industry. And some of those jobs actually gave me the time and the money to pursue the game a little bit. And ultimately, when the pandemic hit, I had kind of just started Sauce, and I took that as an opportunity to get into golf, and I've been caddying at Cherry Hills Country Club in the summers and managing or bartending at a golf simulator facility in the winters while I kind of pursue Sauce on the day-to-day.
I do love the Colorado golf, ski, snowboard / indoor golf scene. And that's popped up over the past like 5-6 years. I used to be in golf technology, selling golf simulators, so used to see all the deals that we'd come in for indoor golf centers in Colorado. And they were always seemed like such cool spots, like a lodge feel to some of them. And, you get that wintertime, summertime kind of aspect between whether or not you can go out and play golf or whether you're out there snowboarding or skiing. But that being said, talk to me a little bit about, because we've had numerous PGA Tour caddies on here. Tell me a little bit about the caddying side. I mean, you're up there at Cherry Hills Country Club, and actually, I believe I've got that behind me, if I'm not mistaken.
Looks like 17 looking up towards the clubhouse if your head was off to the side a little bit. which they just remodeled, and it's beautiful. But being a caddy over at Cherry Hills is really a privilege. There's some amazing membership. They really take care of us financially. And, having the U.S. Amateur there last year, getting to see Nick Dunlap up close, I was actually following around a kid named Jackson Coyven, who is an outstanding freshman player at Auburn, and he is the only player in the field that took Nick Dunlap to extra holes. And Nick got up and down on number one, the 19th hole, with a ridiculous birdie from like 20 feet to win that. But I saw him right there, and unfortunately, I didn't get to caddy in it because I was in an accident and broke my collarbone earlier in the summer. But being on site and being kind of like inside the ropes, so to speak, is phenomenal. And just like any club, we've got our stories and our tales. And actually, I've swam in that lake behind you to retrieve a putter for a member at one point.
That better have been a good tip right there.
Yeah, the tip was a whole story in and of itself. Some of those things, though, I think we like to keep kind of close to the caddy jumper, if you will, and discretion is part of being a caddy sometimes. So
sometimes it certainly is. Now, obviously, you've got a good story getting into the game of golf, caddying out there at Cherry Hills. But what made you decide, hey, I want to start a company in the golf industry?
I've always had a passion for trying to do something on my own. I really want to be the kind of person that builds something that can provide for other people. And it took me a while to realize that, golf might be the right path for me to try and accomplish that, as it's something that I really love, and I know that I will continue with it regardless of the ups and downs of the entrepreneurial journey. And, as I was saying, at about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I finally started getting a little bit of time and money to be able to pursue the game. And during that time when I was kind of really becoming like a practice fiend, I started dreaming about golf. And one day I was walking down the fairway of my home club, Common Ground, Tom Doak Golf Course, right in the city of Denver. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I look down at my bag and I see the zip towel. And I hold it up in my dream and I kind of figure out how it all works. And I wake up in the morning, I draw it out of crayons. I run it by a few people. I talk to my brother-in-law. He helps me do some like technical drawings of them. He's like a computer CAD whiz, and ended up marinating on it for probably, I don't know, almost a year, at that point, just kind of showing the idea to people, running it by them, and they're like, yeah, I would probably get one. And I just got a lot of that on the golf course, and honestly, part of my entrepreneurial endeavor, I've learned that, some more investment in the upfront research can probably save you a lot of headaches down the line. So one piece of advice I do have for people is, if you're going to try and do anything, talk to people who have done something similar before. As many people as you can, as in-depth as you can. Try and get as many questions as you have answered.
Product market fit, folks. Product market fit. It'll save you a lot of headaches.
Yeah, so, it's been a challenge for sure. But once I kind of got into it, and started getting, good feedback and getting clients and repeat clients and starting to actually do business, it's something that I'm continuing to strive for and hoping that the right partnerships come along to grow this business to the point where if I choose not to caddy anymore, I won't, because I'll be running Sauce Golf full time, kind of how you've been able to do with your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it this way. The golf industry is not for the faint of heart, but at the same time, it is very rewarding, and it is an awesome community to be a part of. I mean, talking about your product, though, I mean, you put together a nice little collab here with the Sauce Golf Pull Hook Golf Zip Towel. This thing is money, by the way.
Thank
I took
you.
this out to the course for the first time the other day, and I almost didn't want to because I'm like, I got to make sure that it's in good shape for the show. But, folks, you will not believe. And by the way, it was raining today in Arizona, and all of a sudden I'm grabbing the clubs out of the car because I was thinking about going to play, and I'm like, nah, I can't do it. And sure enough, I remember on your website, it's like it can also be a bag cover for your clubs. And I put it over it. I'm like, and it fit perfectly, looked great. But look at the inside. The Pull Hook Golf, there's like this beautiful fabric. Now, I got a couple questions for you because as a new owner of a Sauce Golf zip towel, okay, there is a zipper on the inside right here. What do I do with that?
So there's a couple of reasons that's there. One is because to manufacture it without it is virtually no price difference, and that allows us to later customize custom printed units with embroidery without punching through to the other side. Or if you choose to use the zip towel as a cooler that day, you know how they sell those kind of flexible sheets of gel, kind of ice pack kind of things? You can slide one in there, turn it into a tote bag, and it'll be an insulated cooler bag for your beverages for the back nine.
That's so sick. Now, as a towel, how would you normally drape this around the golf clubs? Would you undo both zippers? I was kind of working on that as well. I'm like, I feel like a nice little tutorial here is great because it's so, like, there's so many usages. There's so many use cases for this product. That's what's incredible about it. Like, it's something so genius and yet so simple. It's like, it's awesome. Oh, you got one there.
Yeah,
Love that.
of course. You got to have one on hand. So, this is one that I did for Common Ground. This is our signature hole, our number 11, par 5, up on the right side there.
Oh, that's beautiful there.
Simple club logo on step and repeat. So this is the kind of thing we can do for, member guests and charity tournaments and stuff like that. So, it's kind of dealer's choice, right? I wanted it to be a versatile thing that people could find uses for in and of themselves. Like, I didn't realize it was also a golf cart seat cover, but
what?
An old lady at the club told me it was. And I was like, oh yeah, God, it actually is, true. So in Colorado, my day-to-day is really hot and dry. And so I tend to zip it into a tube, get the inside of the tube wet, and just hang it from my bag like that.
Wait a second. How do you do that?
Yeah, so you just unzip it from the tote bag position until it's completely open. And then instead of folding it into a square, like a, hamburger style, you just fold it hot dog style.
Oh my
and
God,
zip it
I didn't know it could do it.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like the stay wet towel, or you can get another towel soaking wet and kind of hang it in there. And so the wind is protected from the water wicking away with the shell here. And
that is what's cool with the shell. So, folks, like the outer material is like a shell type of material. Like, what would you call that?
So it's technically an Oxford woven nylon with a polyurethane coating.
That sounds so fancy.
Yeah.
I love that.
Which is basically, it's polyester, it's nylon, it's a plastic type fabric. It's got a coating on the inside that is water resistant, and then the inner towel is, pretty traditional microfiber like you'd find in a lot of printed golf towels.
It's silky on the inside. And that's where I'm like, oh, because I remember asking you too when we first met and started communicating and everything. I was like, will it last in 106-degree heat in Arizona? You're like, sure will. And I'm like, I don't know how, but I'm going to take your word for it. Now that I have it, I'm like, no, it 100% will because of that outer shell. And then you can soak the inside. And because of that little zipper too on the inside. And folks, if you're listening to the podcast version, you might have to go onto YouTube and check this out because on the in that zipper, you could put ice in there. Like you could just soak it with water. Like there's so many use cases for it. The other one that I thought was pretty cool that I saw on your website is that you can actually use it if, for instance, your shoes get muddy during the round and you want to put your shoes in that tote bag and carry it around. I mean, it can be, there's so many use cases, it's ridiculous, which is why it's a freaking awesome product.
I really
bottom
appreciate that. Thank you. You know, we're exploring use cases outside of golf as well. So, you know, I think the functionality of it, especially when I'm, you know, pitching a potential tournament client, you know, I'm like, how many times have you given away a head cover or a polo or a cheap towel and it ends up, you know, in the back of a closet or on a shelf in the garage? Why don't we give somebody something that they can choose what's most important about it to them? They'll use it for that purpose, and everyone will be happy because they got the gift they want. Plus, it's, you know, machine washable, so it'll last for a long time.
I love it. Machine washable, folks, makes it easy to clean. But no, I'm really impressed. And to be honest with you, when we were going back and forth, you're like, hey, I want to put together a design and everything for you. I'm like, awesome, let's do this. And to see the finished product, like, one, if you're a golf course out there listening, like, hit up Jeff, because he'll go back and forth with some designs for you. And it's a great member guest giveaway. Like, that's where to me, I'm like, oh, that's a no-brainer for a golf club because it's unique. And whenever there's member guests, like giveaways, that's always the thing that, like, golf clubs look for. Like, I was up at Desert Mountain working as a pro up there, and that was always the conversation, right? Is what can we give away that we haven't done before? And that's one of the cool things. And you always look for high-quality products, too, especially at the good country clubs. And certainly that would this would be one that I would have to say takes the cake from, like, just how cool it is to the use cases for it and everything in between. I mean, it's a sweet product, and I appreciate you doing that for me. Now, I also noticed that you got the gratitude hat on right now, because you also have some apparel and so forth on the website. Talk to me, because I'm a big gratitude guy. Like, I love that when I was on your website, I saw that, and then you came into the show tonight with it on, and I'm like, here we go. This is pretty cool, because people don't understand how powerful gratitude really is. So talk to us a little bit about this new, some of the new apparel that you have going on.
Yeah, I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to have gratitude these days. Like I said, I was in a bad accident. I was riding a moped about 30 miles an hour. I got hit by a car that was trying to turn left from the right lane.
Yeah, you normally don't survive those.
No, things could have turned out a lot different. And so, you know, I had a lot of time this last summer to really appreciate what I did have. And I mean, look, you know, I have a through-the-wall air conditioner unit. I'm not a wealthy man, right? But I play 150 rounds of golf a year. I'm at Cherry Hills Country Club for another 150 or 200. I'm around the game that I love, and it makes me happy. And that is something that I'm incredibly grateful for. And when I started Sauce Golf, I kind of was feeling similar to that, and just had this concept of, like, look, if it's a Wednesday at 2:00 in the afternoon and you're on the golf course, like, everything's pretty good, you know? And let's appreciate the fact that we can, you know, worry about hitting a ball this big into a hole this big, a third of a mile away from each other, and try and do it in 4 hits or less, right? It's like,
it's a game of life there, Jeff. It's a game of life. You're just trying to get that little ball in a hole.
That's all we're trying to do.
That's it. I mean, and there are struggles along the way, let me tell you.
There are, you know, and I really subscribe to that. There's a few members over at Cherry Hills that I work a lot of tournaments for, and they call me their Zen master, because I'm always, you know, talking about how, you know, like, hey, man, you know, if you do things the right way and you put the time and effort in, you make some good swings, you know, score's going to take care of itself, right? You know, we can just focus on one at a time here, and being in the present, not having anxiety about the future, i.e. the lake, not having depression about the past, i.e. that last 3-putt, you know, and playing within ourselves, being honest about who we are, and using our skill set to move the ball around the course the most efficient and effective way possible. And I think that strategy is something that you can take into life and use your skill set to navigate yourself through the world in the most effective and efficient way possible. It makes you the happiest, right?
Now, a quick word from our sponsor. Swannies is here with a fresh take. Performance-based materials are a given these days. But if you're looking for the stretchiest and most lightweight pieces that deliver a look that says, I'm here for a good time, take a walk on the Swannies side. With fabric sourced from recycled plastics and designs sourced from our very own weekend warriors, Swannies is looking out for both our planet and those that need a little style to boost their drive another 15 yards. Premium looks from top to bottom at swannies.co. You definitely have that caddy mojo to you because that was the first thing when I met Bobby Brown, who's been a co-host on this show for numerous episodes. He caddies for S.H. Kim out on the tour. He used to caddy for Dustin Johnson. And really, in meeting Bobby, like the very first time I interacted with him, I go, I get it. I get why you're a good caddy. And then I realized over time and talking with people like Matt Every and James Hahn, I'm like, oh, shit, you're a legend in the caddy world, especially on tour. And then I was out golfing this past Saturday with a buddy of mine who I've never played golf with before. Didn't know he played golf. And all of a sudden we're out. And he brings up, he goes, I think I would have been a good caddy. And I'm like, dude, I've been thinking it all day long because, like, there are certain people that just have that vibe. And you almost have to have, like, this even-keeled, just, like, zen vibe in order to be a great caddy. That's what I've noticed with all these good caddies, especially on the PGA Tour and everything. They all have this vibe of just, like, peacefulness, zen. Like, we're going to get you through this. It's going to be okay. And especially when the wheels start falling off, that's really important. So you just gave me 100% that vibe, which you put into your products. I mean, it's cool to see that you got the gratitude going on. And like you said, you could have been in a much different place, maybe not even here on the planet anymore, because getting smoked by a car when you're on a moped, that doesn't always turn out so well. So I'm glad you're here because obviously I get to talk to you on the Pull Hook Golf podcast. We get to talk about Sauce Golf. Now, beyond the towel, I mean, so you're starting the apparel line. Talk to me a little bit about what you have going on or what your future plans are for the company and the brand, really.
Well, one thing that we chatted about in the journey of Sauce Golf was a special letter I received at one point from Hole Barrett, which happens to be from Augusta, Georgia. At the time, I had been producing.
Oh, hang on. I got to tee this up for you a little bit better than I did. I apologize. I didn't realize you were going there right now.
Oh,
so
man,
folks,
I was diving in.
I legit, this story right here is the one you got to pay attention to. This is the story that just shows you what the golf industry is and how difficult it can be sometimes. But my God, this is the magic story to Sauce Golf. And if you don't appreciate anything else that comes from this podcast, this story is the one. So I'm just going to tee it up for you here. The Augusta National. And there are so many brands out there that do so much around the coloring, the flag in the Augusta portion, or like they'll move it to wherever like location they are. There's shirts that are made. There's all these different things that play off of the Masters at Augusta National, right? So now I'm gonna send it back over to you, Jeff. Take us through your experience that you had.
So, yeah, as a startup golf brand, I was looking to hop on the Masters bandwagon a little bit. And I was inspired by what a lot of those other brands did and decided to release the Magnolia Lane Zip Towel. And, it featured a nice rendition of the menu on the inner towel. And on the outer shell, we had azaleas, pimento cheese sandwiches, white caddy jumpers, green jackets. Okay? And
by the way, I got to get my hands on one of those.
There may or may not be a couple more in existence.
There might be a Venmo coming your way.
So when I got this letter and started kind of reading through it, I actually used to be an attorney. I moved out to Colorado for law school originally and decided I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. I wanted to grade cannabis cups for a living.
Look how many pieces of paper there is in this letter.
You know, they're citing case law. They're highlighting pictures of my product. They're asking for a prompt cease and desist of the selling of this merchandise. And so, you know, as an attorney, I was going to do my due diligence. I called up Mr. Christopher Cosper, really nice guy. Spent probably hour and a half, 2 hours on the phone with him over a couple of different calls, trying to understand why my product was flagged and why I see other products, being sold. Why I see Golf Magazine doing our favorite non-Masters products articles, and those people are, doing what they're doing. And, at the end of the day, I learned that, the green jacket is kind of off limits a little bit, especially if you got the 3 gold buttons and the buttons on the cuff. And also there's case law where when the totality of the circumstances comes together to be like, hey, this is supposed to be about the Masters. Like, you can't do that. And so, I may or may not be coming through with a new Masters themed product featuring potentially azaleas on the inner towel and featuring potentially an aerial depiction of the Augusta course map with prayer hands at Amen Corner. On the outer shell, but
may or may not.
That may or may not be happening. This was a test print just to see what it could potentially look like. So this is the only one in existence right now. And we'll just leave it at that. But I will also say that if that does come to fruition,
that might be better than the pull hook golf, which there's not much that in my mind is better than this, but that might I might need one of those. I might need the original, the one you almost got sued for. But it is incredible because a lot of people love to be like, oh, small golf brands, they don't get any attention, blah, blah, blah. I will say this. The big brands, like Augusta National, are always watching, folks. They're always like, I've been hit up by some very big brands. And when I say big brands, potentially a rival golf league to the PGA Tour. And I'll tell you, I mean, it kind of throws you for a loop because it's like, hang on a second. Like, how'd you find us? Like, how'd you come across what we're doing? But that is such a cool story that you did such a good job on. Can I see that one more time?
Of course, man.
I mean, I get a kick. Folks, again, if you're listening to the podcast, you're going to have to check out the YouTube version of this as well, because that is so sick. I mean, when you get the caddy bibs on there, though, like the caddy bibs, if you remove the green jacket entirely from that and just had
might be able to get away with
the bibs and the pimento cheese. Now, when I was out there, is that the pimento or is that the egg salad?
So that's the pimento cheese sandwich,
okay.
But then I've also got the Georgia peach ice cream sandwich.
Because
now,
I will tell you, I wasn't a huge fan. This might be shocking to people. The pimento cheese sandwich wasn't like, it didn't do anything for me like a lot of people, but I will tell you this. The secret at the Masters is that egg salad sandwich. It is bomb. It is moist, and yet the bread is still, like, for some reason, the Masters has all these secret tricks to it, like the fact that you will never, ever see a divot on any of the
No, it's because everyone picks them up and takes them home.
You will not see in the walkways. So this was the other thing of being in person at the Masters, is that you will not see in the walkways brown, like, grass that's dead because people are walking past it. It is green pebbles, folks. They put a green pebbles all the way down. There's no birds. There's no squirrels. I've gone over this in previous podcast episodes, but Ah, man, like just seeing that right there, it gets me in the vibe, man. We're only in January and you got me already itching for April. Let's go.
Well, I mean, which playoff was it? The beginning of the playoffs or something where the first Masters commercial came on? I was like around the corner watching a sporting event, and then I hear Jim Nance. I hear the theme song. I'm like, oh my god, it's time.
Well, they got the whole Georgia theme song now with Ray Charles. Georgia, like, and then all of a sudden it just starts showing all the B-roll of Augusta National and then the clubhouse. It gets the juices flowing. I mean, I feel like if you're a golfer in a cold weather territory like you are in Colorado, or people up in the Northeast or Minnesota or wherever, or in Washington, like, this is the stuff that gets you through the winter to where you're like, okay, golf is right around the corner. It's coming.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to go to the Masters Wednesday practice round in 2019, Tiger's year, and a friend of mine had been a few times, and the pro tip that I received was get a pimento cheese sandwich, get a fried chicken sandwich, take off a bread from each, put them together. That worked okay. But we also played golf at Country Club of Birmingham that trip, and their pimento cheese sandwich kicked the shit out of the Masters pimento cheese sandwich. But maybe I just got a little bit of an axe to grind with the Masters. Who knows?
I mean, and I'll tell everybody, like, we tried to get the Augusta National, like, course mapped. Absolutely not. Like, and that's the funny thing. Like, there are golf simulator softwares that are out there that are very illegal that have Augusta National because they use Google Maps and everything, and you can get terrain and whatnot. And it is, and also the only one that has it licensed legally is EA Sports, to my knowledge. Nobody else has that, and I'm surprised that Augusta National hasn't been able to go after some of the simulator companies and so forth that do have it, because maybe it's because, like, you can build your own courses on some of these. I don't know. Or they're just international, so who knows, like, who they're actually going to go after. But I will tell you, they are very protective of their brand and their assets. That is for sure. And they're not. I've also met Fred Ridley, which he is a great guy. I mean, before he became the chairman at Augusta National, but an absolutely great guy. But yeah, they're tough business people. I'll definitely say that. But I won't go any further because I love you, Augusta National. I love you, the Masters.
Yeah.
Still want to come out and play. So, anytime I'm available, like literally anytime. If you hit me up 24/7, I'm available. I'm going to hop a flight. I'm going to come right to you. I think Jeff would be in the same boat.
I mean, I heard caddies get to play one day a year, and maybe throw my hat in that ring one winter here.
I did. So whenever I would go to the Masters, I used to go to the Masters every year, and we would always go play the golf courses that were around there. So Champions Retreat is out there. You've got Augusta Country Club that borders Augusta National. We played that one year, and sure enough, who were all the caddies at Augusta Country Club? All the caddies from Augusta National, because they couldn't caddy that week. So the stories that these guys had, man, was absolutely nuts as to some of the things that would go on at Augusta National. Not to be told, by the way. Like, I can't even share it on an unfiltered golf podcast because that's how afraid I would be of sharing something along those lines.
Absolutely.
But how cool is it that you created such a cool design that it got the attention of Augusta National and their attorneys?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of just saying, come sue me, and representing myself and just taking it as far as I could before I could get out of it, to just bring more publicity. Because no publicity is bad publicity, right? So
you're preaching to the choir here. There may or may not have been a player on a golf league that wanted to come after Pole Hook Golf for defamation at one point, and I just, like, they thought it was going to be scary, like, we're going to remove the episode and all this, and I'm just like, let's do it. Let's go. Like, this is great. This would be fucking fantastic for us. Like, come get everything you can. Let's go. So I'm with you. I think Pat McAfee did the same thing with Brett Favre. He was just like, yeah, bring it on. Before he was with ESPN. Now he's got that little statement at the bottom, please don't sue us, as it goes by. But yeah, if you're not a Pat McAfee fan, I'm sorry, folks.
Oh, yeah. He's got a great program.
Those Pittsburgh boys. I'm an upstate New York guy, so like I kind of get the whole Pittsburgh thing. I got a few friends from Pittsburgh in Ohio, and yeah, they're a different breed over there, man. Especially on the east side of or on the west side of Pennsylvania, in the Pittsburgh area. They interesting people, love them,
fellas, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, hard workers over there, hard workers. But we digress. And let's get into a little shop here. Let's talk a little golf. You okay talking a little golf?
I can talk a little golf.
All right, let's talk a little golf because this past week, my goodness gracious, we have the first amateur who has ever won a PGA Tour event since Phil Mickelson in 1991. Everybody had been talking to about it. They can't believe that it's been since 1991 that an amateur's won. And I'm like, hang on a second. Like, an amateur winning on tour is fucking insane. Like,
yes.
This is crazy.
It is really crazy. Nick Dunlap is an
And you saw him firsthand.
I did. And, to be completely honest, I was pulling for Jackson. I was pulling for the underdog. He was going to be a freshman. Nick has already had a lot of acclaim and has established himself as a player. And I just thought that young player story, top junior player winning the AM would have been really cool. But adding that win to the Nick Dunlap story, I think in the grand scheme of things with where we see, I think he's going to end up as a player is going to be even cooler probably. I was... on like, I think it was on 17 maybe, Nick hit a drive kind of into the right trees. He hit it so far, he was kind of past him and it ended up not mattering. But he hits it and I'm like, Jackson, he's in the trees, man. Let's go get it. And like, I'm pretty sure I got like a dirty look or two from like Nick and his caddy. And I'm like, now I'm just feeling kind of silly about it. But I was really hyped for the kid at the time. But I did turn to a friend when Nick made the decision to take a drop on 13. He ended up not winning the hole. He made a bogey, but I just saw the decision-making process and the maturity of his golf game. And, decision-making and course management is like the biggest thing I preach to the players that I work with, because it's the one thing that every single golfer can control and most people choose not to.
Good point.
But Nick really did. And I just looked at my buddy and I was like, this guy's going to make so much money playing golf, and it's going to prove to be true, I think, unless something absolutely crazy happens. Like this guy's on a trajectory. And I've heard some other podcasts about him that he's been playing, money games with professional players at his home club or clubs around where he's from for years now and doing more than holding his own.
Yeah, not only that, this kid the Monday before, just playing a random practice round, getting ready for the MX, literally goes out and shoots 60. So, like, this kid, and one of the things that I was really impressed with, which I got to give it up to Bryson DeChambeau. Folks, you're going to hate me for this, and I hate myself for saying it, but Bryson DeChambeau, whoever his PR agency is of late, is actually crushing it, because they are very quickly changing the perception of Bryson DeChambeau. I don't know if it's real or not. So that's the one caveat. I don't know if this is just a bunch of bullshit that the PR agency has him out there doing all this stuff. But one of the things that he said is that go play, and now I wouldn't go play at the ladies' tees. Sorry, ladies. There's nothing sexist there. But I would probably play like one set back and learn how to go low. Like, that is one thing that really struck me about this up-and-coming generation of golfers that, yeah, they got their TrackMans, they've got their Foresight GC quads, like, they know all their numbers, they've been working with sports psychologists, like, they're ready to go. Once they get past college or even their freshman, sophomore year, like we're seeing it with Oberg, we're seeing a bunch of kids coming right out on tour and having success. Now, to me, with what Bryson said, learn how to go low. And when you heard from his dad during the tournament, what was he, 12 years old or something like that, and he shot a 59.
Oh yeah.
And his dad's like, yeah, that's when I kind of knew that he was going to be something in golf. Like, and his dad said it with a straight face.
Because like the 63 the day before wasn't an indicator, right?
Yeah,
you know,
it's absolutely nuts. Like this kid, like, and granted, he's the only other player other than Tiger Woods who has won the Junior Am and the US Am. Now, take it with a grain of salt, folks, because Tiger won both 3 times. Like, that's how you realize in some of these things to where you're just like, we're probably never going to get another Tiger Woods. Like, for a long, long time. Like, yeah, there might be a prodigy that comes along at some point in the future, but I'm probably going to be dead by the time that happens. Now, with Nick Dunlap, though, like, you got to appreciate what he's actually doing. And that's the same thing with Oberg. Like, I tell everybody that is so high on Oberg right now that give him the time to be able to adjust. Like, he came into a whirlwind last year to where he came onto the DP World Tour, won, then goes to the Ryder Cup, then ends up winning the RSM last year at the end of the year. So, like, he had a hell of a run. But we all know golf. Golf will humble you in a big way. And I always say expectations are the killers of dreams. So let's pump the brakes a little bit. And especially with this Nick Dunlap, like, I love his game. He bombs the ball. His wedges are insane, and he's an incredible putter. But what's your take on some of these young guys and getting all of this acclaim right out the gate?
Well, I think that the level of preparation for high-level competitive golf in college players right now, and even in people that didn't go to college, like Akshay, right?
Good old Akshay Bhatia. George Gankus guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, these guys have access to all that equipment, all this ability to dial things in and know where they're at. And I think if you're always kind of beating your peers, like, you're always going to likely be able to beat your peers. And as you grow up and mature, if you can continue doing that, you'll be beating people at the top levels, which is why I always think it's hilarious when some old guy's like a +1. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about going out for the senior tour. And I'm like, bro, I'm going to have to beat Rory McIlroy when I'm 60 if I want to play senior tour stuff, right? It's just not happening. But in terms of the acclaim they're getting, you know, the NIL money is part of it. The landscape is changing. I think that businesses see opportunities to, you know, reap returns on their investments by getting attached to players early. And so there's going to be more media, there's going to be more hype, there's going to be more investment in seeing them succeed. And they're just more ready now. Like golf, when I was growing up, I feel like golfers, it was a game of like, you weren't going to be winning or being good on the PGA Tour until you're like 32, 35. You know, that was like the prime of your career, and you'd have 3, 4, 5 years before you kind of got into your 40s. And
well, think about it. You got a guy like Eric Cole, just won Rookie of the Year. He's in his 30s.
Yeah.
But he also took a long time in order to get to where he's at, which this was always my stink with professional golf. There's nowhere to go unless you want to struggle and live out of your car playing mini tours in order to develop your game. You either have to come right out and be phenomenal, or you need to come from a very wealthy family. Like, those are the two avenues, which is the one thing that, like, I heard recently from Phil Mickelson being on the Pat McAfee show, talking about the fact that Live Golf is going to start setting up some of these development camps and so forth at golf clubs that they're going to be having. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. I want to stay on the Nick Dunlap train here. He drops out of the Farmers Insurance. Now, is that the Live guys, which I don't know if you're in the Twitter world or not. This is a new world to me. I just started this. This Twitter world, it's a fucking crazy world. Like, it's fucked. Like people are nuts. And people, they don't care if you absolutely destroy them on every argument. They're delusional. They're just like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to say what I want to say. And like that. So I'm curious if you have explored into that territory and have experienced any of that before.
Yeah, there was a year during COVID where I was doing a lot of stock trading, and you know, people are crazy delusional in that world as well, and that was a lot of intensity and fun, but ultimately something I did not want to handle for the rest of my days. So I kind of tend to stay away from Twitter. I do a little bit of Instagram, you know.
Instagram seems a little bit more normal. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
haters, but and
definitely.
what's great is like YouTube, there's a hater here and there, but like Twitter, and granted, I've become very, very appreciative of the Twitter community. I love it, but I'll also say this. So a lot of the live Twitter accounts, this is where I was going with the question initially, before apparently some dog, I don't know if you could hear that or not, but apparently some dogs decided outside of the studio, somebody must be walking them across the hall, decided just to like attack each other. So I don't know what's going on there, if a dog's okay or not. But that being said, these live Twitter accounts, they're unbelievable, man. Like the propaganda out of these things are incredible. And I get it. Like they're so jaded because the PGA Tour and the people that are like very pro PGA Tour are horrible against them. Like just destroy them all the time. So they're just like battered, beaten children. And with that said, they think Nick Dunlap, because he dropped out of the Farmers Insurance, is now going to live because he's got the same agent as a couple of live golfers. And I'm curious to hear your take if you've heard this or what your feelings are around it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard these rumblings. You know, one part of me is like, he just proved that he can hang, and he just wants to go like back to school and hang out with his boys. Like Cannon Claycomb seems like an awesome dude to hang out with, right? On the golf team, right?
Yeah.
So go back, hang out with the boys, have a couple of sodas. I don't think Nick's 21 yet.
Oh, he's getting fucked up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
That's
of course.
exactly why. So these live
Good old
Twitter
boy.
these live Twitter accounts can say whatever they want about him joining live golf, which if it happens, kudos to him. He's going to get paid a boatload of money for a college kid. But my God, all I could think about, because as a college golfer, all you could ever think about was where can I go drink like illegally, and where can I go party with my boys? And like, I've got a feeling that Nick Dunlap kind of crosses me that way, to where it's like, I'm heading back to Alabama. I know 3 bars on campus to where I can drink unlimited amount of alcohol, and everybody's going to fucking love me. It's going to be
Yes.
like, it's going to be like Shane Lowry winning the Open Championship in Ireland. Like,
Absolutely.
I feel like he is hammered right now. Like, this is a Tuesday night after the American Express, and I swear, I get this feeling that he is just shit canned in some pub in Alabama right now, and his golf coach is probably right there with him.
Yeah, I hear he's a big fisherman, loves fishing. I think there's a story of him like getting up at 3 a.m. to go fishing, and he had like a 9 a.m. tee time in a big tournament that day, and he like caught a couple of fish and like got back just in time for the event. So, you know, I think some fishing, some
that actually
drinking.
bodes well for the live golf guys, because you got Dustin Johnson loves to fish. You got Cam Smith that loves to fish. Yep. Oh boy, this might, I mean, live Twitter accounts might be onto something here.
They very well could be. Or, you know, maybe they're just trying to kind of, you know, plant that seed and let it grow into an idea that festers in Nick's mind. And he decides that he wants to go play live golf and take a bunch of money. Now, I personally get the feeling that Nick is the kind of guy who wants to be compared to the greatest players to ever play the game.
Yeah.
And that, I think, at this point in time, requires playing on the PGA Tour and winning majors.
It does. You have to be able to play in the majors, which technically he's able to, but he has to do it as an amateur. But now that he won on tour, if he stays on tour, he's going to be eligible to play in the majors. If he goes to live, I'm not sure if that's the same scenario. But I will also say this. that when it comes to Nick Dunlap, I feel like these live golf accounts just throw stuff at the wall, like you said, hoping for these seeds to grow into something. I mean, you're a guy that's been around greenery. Your last name's Greenswag. You know,
Yes,
you
it
used to
is.
rate seeds that grew into great products. So, as a man of culture, I just want to know these live golf accounts and what I love about them. Like, they shit on no laying up the other day. I don't know
Okay.
if you saw this, but they threw their John Rahm tweet right in their face from like a year and a half ago, to where like John Rahm's not going to live golf. He's not going to take the Saudi blood money. Now all of a sudden, obviously, that comes back around. But how many tweets went back and forth around all these different players that they have gotten wrong? And that's where I feel like they're just throwing it out there, because if they get lucky, they're going to look like geniuses.
Yeah, and you bring up kind of the throwing in people's face, like the Saudi blood money, all that political stuff. Like, look, I think it's a shame that that is involved. The fact that another golf league came along and is challenging the PGA Tour, I think that is no problem at all, right? Now,
Oh,
I
I
don't
love
know.
where you're heading. I
I don't. I
love where
don't.
you're heading.
I
We're
don't
going to
know.
get to there in a minute.
Okay. Okay. You want to get there? You want to go there?
No. We'll get there in a minute. Let me stop you for a moment,
Okay.
because we do have to hit one segment real quick, which is the Swanee style segment. So we're going to reel it back. We're going
Let's
to
reel
reel
it
it back into the world of the PGA Tour. You know, all the nice little flowers and grass and bunkers and greens. It's beautiful. So going back, Swanee style segment. This is a new segment that we've had. And it's hit so far this year. I mean, what a great time to start it, by the way, because you had Jason Day going over to Melbourne. You had Xander Schauffele lose his Adidas, and now he's with Descente. You've got Tiger Woods and Nike splitting. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on Tiger in this segment. And did you see the TaylorMade trademark that they threw in there for the Sunday red logo? I want your thoughts around that.
So I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have some concert posters, and I'm a big fan of a band called Humphreys McGee. And on the surface, that's the dumbest name ever for a band. But they're awesome, so the band name is now awesome. And I think that Tiger Woods has the money, the connections, the know-how, the ability to put the right people around him to develop a brand and sell a lot of clothes and make a lot of revenue. And I think that Tiger Woods could have taken a picture of a dump he took in the toilet and made that the logo, and people
Could have
would have
been pretty
still
cool.
bought the stuff,
Depending on the shape.
That's I think the level that Tiger Woods is at. So it's kind of irrelevant. Now, if this was just some brand coming out that was like me, that like didn't have a lot of traction, doesn't have a lot of money, I'd be like, I don't know. Like I'm actually in the midst of a brand redesign right now. If you go to my website, saucegolf.com, you can see my new logo. I finally decided to like work with a marketing agency and get a little input from some professionals. It looks like that will embroider really well. I think they can make little metal like rectangles where the relief area, what's cut out, is that logo and the SDR. I don't know about it being 3 words. I don't know why that is, unless there's going to be some marketing campaigns about the sun, during the day, and red, and then kind of combining them. And I don't know how that's all going to go together. We'll see as it unfolds. But
I am curious about it, because when I saw the trademark, it literally is just for sunglasses and accessories. So I actually wondered, because I'm like, I was asking some people in the industry today. I was like, does TaylorMade make clothing? Like, they had the Adidas deal for so long, and obviously that's no longer. But I'm like, do they make clothing? And nobody, I couldn't get a straight answer from everybody. They're like, it's not like a Callaway to where like you'll see Callaway clothing out there at times. So I don't know who's going through this. It feels like a rush job to me. It feels like the Nike partnership ended abruptly. The TW logo wasn't available because that's owned by Nike. And all of a sudden you got to go and rebrand something. So I'm just this one really kind of boggles my mind. I don't like I'm sorry folks who's listening to the podcast. I don't know. And I'm going to continue to try to find out, but I don't know if this is his clothing brand. If that makes sense.
I see what you're saying. Like there could be some other intellectual property coming out that is more for apparel as opposed to accessories and sunglasses.
Because you could see that tiger on like the side of a sunglass.
I could. Like, yeah, on the arm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, whatever any of those entities decide to do, they can do. You know,
the one that I've heard is Grayson. That so Charlie's already with Grayson, and Tiger has a great relationship with them. And I actually know a few guys over there.
Yep.
And I'm just like, that makes a lot of sense. But is that where he's going to end up? And are they going to create him his own line? Because he's kind of in that Tom Brady mode now, to where it's like, oh, I got to create my own line and just do my own thing at this point. Maybe that's where TaylorMade just has the connections to make that happen. But again, when I looked at the trademark whatever it was, I forget exactly if it was a trademark or patent, but it was just for sunglasses and accessories. It wasn't for clothing.
Yeah, I didn't look into it that far, to be honest with you. So I'm surprised to hear that.
Because everybody just started running with it. That, oh, this is the new apparel line for.
What I was surprised to hear, though, was that it was with TaylorMade.
Yeah.
Like, I'm of the mind that Tiger Woods can do this on his own if he wanted to. And Tiger Woods LLC, or whatever his umbrella company is that manages all of his life.
I think it's too quick. Like, I think the Nike relationship, I think they both thought, both sides, because remember, Tiger didn't come right out and say it. There were rumors that they were going to be splitting, and Tiger was like, I'm still wearing Nike. This was at the Hero World Challenge. And then also at the PNC Championship, it was talked about. And Tiger played it off like, listen, I'm still wearing their clothing. We're still in partnership. And then it ended. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if this was planned on the Tiger side of things. So they might be rushing because, I mean, the next tournament he's going to play is Riv.
Well, the way you're putting that now makes me feel like maybe he could have been asking for more than Nike could give them, or Nike didn't want to give them as much.
Well, Nike was definitely lowering their number.
Right.
Like, and that's where I will tell you from experience, because we did a deal with Tiger in Golf Technology. If people want to look into this, they can look at what golf technology company Tiger has ownership in. And Tiger's people are very stern. They're stubborn. So I'll say firsthand, like, if Nike tried to lower that number, Tiger was probably saying no and just playing hardball, and then all of a sudden it fell apart.
Yeah, I think I'm guessing that Tiger was thinking, like, you know, they're gonna come up, they'll get me what I want, and then he got the response. I was like, all right, we're done then. He was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Oh, God, shit hit the fan. I just heard from my boy Stein that, this isn't going to go through. So, fuck, what are we going to do now? And I think now it's kind of a rush job, because if anybody's dealt with clothing and with clothing manufacturers and so forth, it takes some time in order to get all that stuff put into place. And that's why I wanted to bring it up with you, because I'm like, that if you're not going through like some of these Shopify and so forth, like if you're actually going through a manufacturer, it's going to take some time to get a full clothing brand up and running. And that's why I'm like, TaylorMade isn't making clothes.
No, and it takes weeks, if not months, to go back and forth. if I feel like someone like Tiger Woods could afford to do it in weeks, for me it would take like several months, 6-8 months to go back and forth on sampling to get cuts and materials right. Because I know that it did with the zip towel, with finding an overseas manufacturer for that product.
I thought about launching a pull hook golf line before working with Swannies. And sure enough, like it was going to be a year-long process of going back and forth on a lot of this stuff. And I'm like, nah, I would rather be with a brand that tries to save the planet, because guess what? Recycle plastics in this too. You got to love that as a planet person. That being said, that wraps up our Swanee Style segment. Well done. Well done here, Jeff. So let's move into the upcoming Farmers Insurance Open. Now, as a guy that caddies at Cherry Hills, why do people hate playing in the Farmers Insurance Open? Any insight there? Because these pros, a lot of guys drop out this week.
I mean, it's a hard golf course. The time of year, the weather is incredibly variable. I haven't looked at what the weather's going to be, but
It's
I
been
feel
shit.
like some years it's what's like 45 and raining, and it's like the tour kind of chases the sun. No one. I mean, I don't know a ton of people that love playing golf in the rain. I know there's certain people that handle it a lot better than others. That's for sure. But I don't think anyone's like, yay, it's raining, let's go and do that. I mean, maybe once when I was like coming down off of some mushrooms and I like was ready to play in the morning or something, I was like, oh, this is a magical experience.
Find a lot of truth in there.
So it's a hard golf course. It's a long golf course. It's going to be wet. The ball's not going to be rolling. You're going to be hitting a lot of long irons into challenging green complexes.
You hit the nail on the head. Torrey Pines gets a bad rep, but because it's so difficult. And whenever the Farmers Insurance comes around, it's early in the season. If this was a tournament a little bit later on in the year, I feel like everybody would be all about it. Like when the U.S. Open
is at
Torrey Pines.
It's a different animal at that point.
Love it. But, I mean, Torrey Pines, and I will say this because I lived in San Diego, and I used to live right over by Torrey Pines, and I used to go over there and play it quite a bit. When there's not a professional golf tournament going on, it's a muni. Like, it is a beat-up muni that doesn't get great care, and it's tough to go play it in those conditions because one of the things that these guys have going for them is that the course conditions are phenomenal. For the Farmers Insurance, I've played it right after the Farmers Insurance before, and it's unbelievable the difference there. But I think you're on to it with the fact that it's early in the year and it's so difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be a slog unless the weather turns for them.
Like that word, slog. It's
going
to be a slog.
I mean, some days when you're looping, you got to put on the weatherproof shoes, the Gore-Tex shoes, and have the rain jumper and all that stuff, man. And
listen,
Gore-Tex is your best friend, dude.
I thought about it today. I really did. I was like, am I going to go out, play in the rain here in Arizona? It only rains a couple days out of the year, and today was one of them. It rained all day, and I'm just like, nah, not going to do it. But I will say this, and I threw out a poll on Twitter that do you like playing in the rain? And the one caveat I should have thrown in from the beginning is if the course is empty. Because a lot of times when it's raining, the course is wide open for yourself. I remember New Year's Day 2023, we had the course to ourselves because it was raining here in Arizona, and it was unreal. We got to play, I think, we played maybe 58 holes in the rain. And it was awesome because it was just us. We were the only people out there. It was like we owned the golf course. But, I mean, if you had that type of opportunity, would you enjoy playing in the rain?
Oh, absolutely. You get the right balance of, clothing, golf cart. Because I like to ride in the rain, but I'm usually a walker. Right, but in the rain, I like to ride because you get that little respite from the rain with the roof.
A real true caddy over there.
I mean, May through November, I'm doing 25,000 steps a day on average. I'm looping in the morning, playing in the afternoon.
How much weight do you lose during that time?
I fluctuate about 20 or 25 pounds every year, man. It is not healthy at all because my appetite stays the same and my steps go like that. But that's a story for another podcast, man.
Well, who you got this week?
This week, so I took a look into this in preparation of the podcast, and
by the way, at some point we're gonna get this betting portion sponsored by somebody. I'm not even gonna throw out a name yet, but I'm hoping FanDuel. But that being said, at some point this will be a sponsored segment. So let's hear it. Who are you liking?
I've got 5 names written down. Okay. 2 are dark horses. 1 is a long shot, and 2 I think have a really solid chance to win the tournament.
Okay.
So the long shot, because I love the visor game, is Bo Hostler.
Wow.
Okay. And his caddy is an expert at the French Tend, which is the late pull, which I really appreciate.
Yep.
Now my 2 dark horses are going to be Akshay.
Wow.
And
I actually really like that one.
I mean, he's a California kid, right? He grew up with Genghis. He knows West Coast golf. I'm sure he's played out there. He hits the ball a mile. Okay. And then kind of fresh off an injury, starting to play a little better. I love his swing because it is quirky. Daniel Berger. Okay, but my 2 guys that I think actually have a chance.
Berger just started playing again, so that's a bold choice.
Well, that's why he's a dark horse, right?
I do like that.
But the 2 guys that I think have a legitimate chance are going to be Max Homa.
Oh, there's a homer right there.
You know, and potentially Sahith.
Oh, good grief. He took 2 guys out of the top 5 from last year. Okay.
Yeah.
I see where your head's at.
You know, because you got like horses for courses, right?
Okay.
Like it's a real thing.
It is. No, that's 100% accurate.
It's a real thing. Like different skill sets breed different types of players for success in different environments. And that's also what made Tiger Woods so amazing, that he could win in any environment.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Here you go. So my main pick this year is going to be, I'm going the Korean route right now. Okay. So we're going Sung Jae Im. Okay. He was T4 last year. Sung Jae's been playing solid. Now Sung Jae can't play in a tournament like the American Express, okay? And I chose him last week as well, just because of how he's swinging the club. And I thought him and Willie have a really good connection. And Sung Jae's been making a lot of putts with Willie because Willie's like forcing him to hit it 3 feet past the hole, which is all new to Sung Jae, and he's starting to make a little bit more putts. But Sung Jae's not that putter that's just going to go lights out in a tournament like that and make a shit ton of birdies, even though... Granted, yes, folks, I know. He made the most amount of birdies in fucking at Kapalua, right? So he made, 34 birdies, which was the PGA Tour record. But that's a little bit different, okay? And if you want an explanation, hit me up on Twitter. Now, when we get beyond Sung Jae, so he's my main guy for this week, all right? Then we got ourselves a little dark horse in S.H. Kim. Because S.H. Kim, this kid, I'm telling you right now, I don't know why he is not always in the top 10. Now, last year was his rookie year. Bobby's caddying for him this year. I think this is going to be a great year. He finished T20 last year. I think he's going to have a great tournament. Putting is his weakness, I will say, especially lag putting. So... hopefully he's got that going for him, but he's such a great ball striker. And then I also love Siwoo Kim. Siwoo's got a new deal with Bad Birdie, another brand out there that the kids love. And sure enough, he is like one of their first partnerships on tour. So love to see that. And Siwoo, he's players champ, bro. I've had on Bobby caddied for him. We also had Manny Villegas, who's Camilo Villegas' brother. He caddies for him now. And we had him on after the President's Cup last year. And just so fucking funny, man. Siwoo Kim. And you might have seen him in a recent clip not that long ago back at, I want to say it was the Sony. Yeah, it was the Sony Open, to where he goes, fucking every time, man. And the announcers right afterwards go, wow, Siwoo's English is getting a lot better. It was absolutely priceless. I absolutely
hot
love
mic.
that. So
Love
yeah,
that.
I'm going full Koreans on this one. Yeah, all of them. And then I will say this, my last dark horse, if I'm going to kick the whole Korean thing here, because, Trader Joe's has some pretty good Korean food in there. But that being said, watch out for a guy named Sam Ryder who loves joggers, which I saw a tweet, I think it was today or yesterday, that somebody was like, talk to me straight in the face and tell me that joggers look good. I got no problem saying it. Joggers look good. I don't know where you stand on this, Jeff. We didn't talk about it beforehand, but if you can pull off joggers, like Sam Ryder can pull off joggers. That dude looks good in joggers. Got a lot of shit last year as he was in the lead, I believe in the third round, heading into the fourth round. But I think Sam Ryder is going to put it together. I think he's going to have a good week this week as well.
I like that. I think if you can pull off the joggers, go for it. I'm hoping that is the PGA Tour dipping their toes into the waters of shorts.
Ooh.
It is 1,000,000 degrees out there. I mean, we got a little ankle, we're like moving up like the, what is societally acceptable chart from like 1875. Now we got ankles, right? So we're like 1910, the flapper chicks, the 1920s, right? Like,
Okay,
next thing you know,
hang on.
like golf is old school, we're trying to get with the times.
No, and what's beautiful about what you just said is when Live Golf switched to shorts, we're doing shorts. We're going to do everything different. And then you had the European guys come out with the grandfather calf white socks that went up to the just to the beginning of the calf, and then with their classic FootJoys on. I'm sorry,
do that, man.
I love style, and I say it often that people who normally criticize particular styles either can't pull it off or have no style at all. They're just give me khakis, give me very safe picks in fashion. And I'm not that guy at all. But man, that is the one look to me to where I'm just that's a tough, are you waiting for a flood? I'm just curious. That's got to leave a terrible tan line.
Yeah, I mean, as a caddy, I have embraced my tan lines. I have,
Let me guess. Do you do the white calf sock?
No, I don't. I'm an ankle sock guy,
Okay.
right?
I'm a no-show sock guy.
I'm hopefully below the ankle bone.
Yeah.
But above the bottom of a low-cut shoe, because then I don't want the socks slipping down under my heel, right?
That sucks because you get blisters real quick.
Although Lupin at Cherry, we're in the full-length pant white jumpsuit with the short sleeves, so oftentimes I will go with a higher cut basketball type sock.
Oh.
Maybe even a 2-sock scenario.
You're doubling it up.
Yeah, because then the socks slide
Staying
on each
safe
other
out
and
there.
not on the skin, right?
Okay.
But some new skin, moleskin, Band-Aids, caddy's best friend, for sure.
Dude, caddies have a rough kick out there.
You
guys do the tough work.
It is definitely physically demanding. I'm carrying double almost every loop, so 20 to 30 pounds on each shoulder. Depending on the quality of player, you're picking up and putting that bag down anywhere from 75 to 140 times per day with that person, right? But like I said, it's a privilege to be out at that club. I don't see it as work. I used to be a lawyer. I used to do cannabis stuff, sales, all this. This is the best job I've ever had. Caddying's the best job I've ever had. I love it. Keeps me healthy, keeps me fit. I'm around cool people, and you never know what roads are going to open up to you as a result of the situations you're in and the people you meet in that club.
You're starting to sell me on. I'm going to quit everything, go caddy. Here we go.
I mean, it's a great side hustle, man.
It is. It really is. Well, Bobby had a crazy story where he was caddying out at Pebble, and then he started caddying for Pete Sampras. And Pete Sampras is the one who actually got him onto the PGA Tour.
That's cool. Yeah, so like, there's some loopers at Cherry. Like there's a guy named Tony who carries for David Duval on the senior tour a lot.
Oh, you love that.
Double David used to be at Cherry. He's
my favorite golfer growing up.
Oh, I watched clips of his 59 the other day.
Me too.
And the way he was swinging that club, like
pure.
There was no effort to it.
No.
There was no force to it. It was the most syrupy, smooth molasses transition. It was amazing.
Art. It was art. That's all I can say.
It was amazing.
It was art. That was the most unbelievable thing that I've ever seen. And I remember watching it as a kid too. That I'm just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I became obsessed with the game of golf. And that was one of the moments to where I was just like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Now, as we move beyond our betting segment for the upcoming Farmers, which is not sponsored by FanDuel yet, we're going to get into Live Golf and the hottest topic in the game of golf. And folks, by the way, if you're listening out there, I know we got quite a few listeners right now. If you got any questions for Jeff here, whether it's sauce golf or whether it's just you got some questions about golf, feel free to throw it into the comments, and we'll be happy to go ahead and answer some of those comments for you, whether you're on Twitter, YouTube, or on our main stream, which is on millions.co. Feel free to throw in some of those questions for us, but we're getting into Live Golf, and this is quite the polarizing complex topic of Live Golf. I've been pretty pro on Live Golf, and it's kind of crazy because, you say one wrong thing and all of a sudden you're a hater of Live Golf, which I am not. I love picking a little bit of fun, though, at times. But where do you stand on Live Golf, Jeff?
Yeah, so, we were about to touch on this earlier, and like I was saying, like all the political stuff, like I kind of like to stay away from that stuff personally. I think the world is an incredibly complex place. I don't have the education to understand the intricacies of every single detail of what is going on. I know there's some good stuff. I know there's some bad stuff, but I know that exists everywhere in different degrees, right? I have had this little theory though about like, if you put gas in your car, aren't you like giving those guys money? Like at least like the golfers are taking it from him, can like Robin Hood it and like give it back to like charities.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stop you right there. This was when the PGA Tour came out and they decided that their entire stance was going to be that Saudi Arabia is bad, blood money, they funded 9/11, all this propaganda. Okay. For me, I sat there and go, hang on a second. How many sponsors does the PGA Tour have that literally has Saudi Arabia as one of the major investors in their businesses? Because all it's doing is traveling through a middleman.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it's doing.
The money going up, Exxon, Chevron. Like,
yeah. And then everybody that wants to sit there and go, oh, this is so bad. Like, you're putting money in your car. Now, granted, it comes, and this is one thing that the pros have had to decide, whether or not they want the stigma that goes against them, that the majority of people are going to say against them, because it is this rival golf league. It is this crazy new concept of this team golf and everything. And while I don't think that they've done it entirely correct, which you can't straight out of the gate, they've been open to listening and changing things along the way. And that's where, like, remove the politics from it. Like, remove the fact of, like, Saudi Arabia is investing in this versus, the PGA Tour, all this and that. Just take it as a product itself. Have you watched any of the events? Like, do you enjoy them?
I've watched a little bit. I definitely watch way more PGA Tour. I personally don't like the shotgun start format. I think that golf courses are laid out in a specific order by the course designer for a specific reason, and that is the course. The course isn't holes 5 through 18 and then 1 through 4. It is 1 through 18. And
Yeah.
you're being tested in specific ways along the way with intention. So for that reason, for high level professional golf, I do not like the shotgun start. I like the team golf though. It's college style, and like you're playing for something bigger than yourself too, which is cool.
The first 2 days, no problem with it, with the shotgun. I actually don't mind the fact that they are playing in the same weather conditions. Okay, that's the one thing to me that I'm like, okay, they're all playing in the same type of weather. But you get to that final round, and let's be honest, the team aspect has not sunk in because the guys don't take it seriously. So, like, when you're trading Matthew Wolff for Taylor Gooch, who literally won 3 times, like, that's, oh, who do I want to hang out with this year? It's not, who am I going to win a team championship with? Who am I, like, they know that the money is in it for the individuals. Yeah. The team is just an extra bonus, right? So it's cool, yeah, okay, if we win a team event, that's great. If they just introduced the rings for the crushers.
Those were actually pretty cool.
I actually agree with that.
And I think the team thing, though, is more, now that I'm thinking about it, it's more for the entertainment value for the fans than for the players. None of these guys live in the cities they represent, or you know what I mean? So, the cities was actually the Tiger Woods thing with the indoor golf league, which I also think is kind of silly. But yeah, you know.
Oh, and actually talking about the TGL, that wasn't even on our list, but there's a new signing. LAGC just signed good old Justin Rose.
Oh,
I almost said Justin Thomas. Justin Rose has been signed by the LAGC club, which kind of reminded some people that thing is still going on, which goes into my next topic, which is around the fact that Jon Rahm went over to LIV, still doesn't have a complete team. He's got 2 other players. They're waiting on that third one. A lot of speculation that it's going to be Terrell Hatton, but problem with that, and I've been talking about this with quite a few people over the past couple days, is that he is currently signed by Boston Common Golf.
Well, I don't know what the Boston Common Golf contract is.
Exactly.
But that's I know that TGL league is going to be Monday nights, right?
Monday nights next year, but you got to be a part of the PGA Tour.
Oh.
Yeah. Tricky situation.
That's what lawyers are for, man. You know what the one thing I learned as an attorney and a law student? Like, find a lawyer that specializes in that.
Yeah.
Because he knows that lawyer knows what they're doing. Like,
well, normally the agent, a lot of times, is a former lawyer.
Yeah,
a lot of them have legal, but I'm sure, like, there's a reason why that deal is not done yet. Because I'll tell you that Wyndham, for instance, was big in
Cherry
the
Hills
news
guy.
Around the fact that Wyndham was going to be going over to LIV Golf. LIV Golf met the price from his agent. Everybody thought he was going over. And then what's hilarious is that I got direct knowledge as to the fact that he goes, I wasn't going.
You just wanted to see?
No, like, that's what the agents are doing, though. Oh. That's why all these LIV Golf accounts are like, oh, this guy's in negotiations. This guy's in negotiations. An agent's job is to try to find the best opportunity for their golfers.
Making a percentage
they're
off
exploring,
of that.
Yeah, because they want to present their player like a Jon Rahm with, hey man, you're gonna get $600 million.
Like, I'm just gonna get a little 10% slice, just a little $60 million off the top. You don't have to worry. You don't even have to pay taxes on it because you're paying it to me.
My kids are gonna be able to go to the nicest school in the world. You understand? Like, if you do this, you're doing it for me too.
I'll have the money to be able to support my kid through junior golf and trying to play professionally.
That's what I love about it. It's just like, yeah, these agents are going to try, and then they're going to present it to their players. So that's the one interesting thing to me, that it's like, okay, Wyndham was never going to go, but everybody thought he was like fully in because they met his price. Everybody was just like, oh, this is moving along. And then it gets presented to Wyndham. He's like, not going. And so I wonder what's going on with Is it Terrell or Tyrell? I always want to say Tyrell so bad.
I think it's Tyrrell.
I think it is too.
But I'm not sure.
I know.
And he's a pretty volatile guy, so I wouldn't really want to mess it up around
listen,
him.
Tyrell, whatever you want to be called, you let us know. Okay?
I hear he's a puppy dog off the course, but on
Great
the course,
guy.
he's kind of crazy.
Great guy.
I like a club throw.
Yeah.
I
But
like
you got to have the
seeing
proper
emotion.
technique.
Yeah, like there's two. You can either go like flat or you can go tomahawk. I'm more of a tomahawker.
See, I'm more
but
of
I know
I'm
people
gonna
that come
swing it.
Randy Johnson. Yeah.
Well, Matt Every, one of the best ever. I mean, great club tosser. That guy.
Yeah. Definitely good club toss to driver distance ratio.
Yeah.
You know?
Very, very good. Now, all right, we're going to get into some of the fan questions here. There's just a couple so far. So, first one from Jeff. All right. I don't know where Jeff's located, but Jeff, just like yourself. And he wants to know, where can he find the zip towel that we talked about early in the episode?
Yeah, so you can go to saucegolf.com, and it's going to be right in the header of the first page. I right now have black, gray, and navy. Very simple, very understated. Like I said, come back potentially in, mid to late March, potentially for, potentially an azalea themed towel. But if you use the code PULLHOOK50,
ooh,
you will get 50% off as many zip towels as you want.
Love that. Didn't even know that was coming, but my God, am I pumped about that.
And that's
now,
PULLHOOK50.
If you own Pull Hook Golf and you really want one of the forbidden towels, will that promo code work?
So the forbidden towel, at the request of the attorneys for Augusta National Incorporated,
it will never happen.
It's no longer for sale.
Not for sale.
The Sauce Golf website. However,
a handshake here.
We can connect
handshake
offline.
There. Yeah, I mean, we can't put it on this podcast, but if we give a little wink, there might be something there that we could make that happen. I mean, I do love my pull hook. Here's the thing though. That towel would come out once a year. It'd be the week. I have an outfit that I break out once a year, and it is yellow and green. I don't even wear it to the Waste Management, which is also yellow and green, but I will wear it during the entire week of Augusta National, and this could start being part of the tradition because again, unreal, but watch out, folks, for the azaleas. I do want a tattoo, by the way, that has the azaleas. So, yeah, that's going to be coming as well. But we've got Paul here, wants to know, why did you leave the marijuana industry? Paul, stop smoking that weed, bud.
Paul, the truth is I just got burnt out, man, on the weed industry. It was a grind, in Colorado, it's hyper competitive. We have an open licensing system. My cannabis sommelier years had ended, and I had started earning more money in the role of a salesman. But I was driving 1,100 miles a week, all within the state of Colorado, staying overnight once a week in either Grand Junction or Durango or Telluride or Aspen. And I got to go, stay in some cool spots. But when you're driving through a snowstorm at, 2:00 in the morning trying to make it back to Denver, and your anti-skid light has been on for 32 miles, it gets tiring,
That'll do it.
And the other part of it is I wasn't taking good care of myself physically, and caddying kind of was the panacea to all of that, so.
Paul's got a follow-up question to that. So what was your favorite strain when you were Paul's smoking some shit
Paul loves
right now.
weed, man.
Paul is.
I love weed too, man.
Yeah, Paul.
And actually, Sauce Golf is a little bit of an homage to my favorite type of cannabis product, which is a form of live resin, which is an extracted hash that you would use on something called a dab rig.
I did a dab
and so
once.
Sauce is that's kind of like the exclusive way that I consume cannabis at this point.
I once had a guy who
edibles.
never saw me out of form at the golf course, and so he decided to invite me over one day, and he goes, "Have you ever dabbed before?" I was like, "Don't know what this dab is, but I'm always down." So sure enough, he dabs me up, and all of a sudden I start feeling it. I'm like, right away, and I'm just like, "Yep, this is happening." And he got so pissed because I didn't break form at all. I leave his place and I'm like, just fucking get home. Just get home. Just get home. He hits me up the next day and he goes, "I'm so fucking mad at you." And I was like, "Why?" He goes, "Because you were perfectly normal. And that's your first time you ever said you did a dab." He didn't believe me. He thought I was lying. I'm like, "Dude, that's the first time I ever dabbed." But sure enough. So hang on. We got to go back to the strain. What's your favorite strain?
So my all-time favorite strain is blueberry, but a very specific varietal that was developed by a grower named DJ Short, who is from Michigan, who I had the pleasure of meeting once. He is not. And yeah, I'll never forget the smell and taste of that as long as I live.
What is it called? Blueberry? What?
Blueberry. Yeah, blueberry.
Blueberry?
It's DJ Short's blueberry.
Am I a novice for saying that when I lived in California years back and marijuana had become legal, which it's legal here in Arizona, same with you in Colorado, but my favorite when I did smoke was Blue Dream. Is that like a novice strain or what?
No, so I mean, it became definitely a very popular strain. I would say for a time it was kind of like the pumpkin spice latte of cannabis.
I do love a pumpkin spice,
right? Like,
spice
look,
latte.
There's nothing wrong with it. They're
that.
delicious. Is it a little basic? Maybe, but that's fine. That's what the industry had to offer. And blueberry is one of the strains that was introduced with another strain, I believe, maybe like a haze, to create Blue Dream. Initially. And if you guys are really interested in cannabis strains, they kind of stopped doing the really cool part, which was this 3D interactive universe of DNA tested submitted strains of cannabis.
Wait, there's a DNA company to cannabis?
Oh yeah, man, everything that's alive, right? Genetic testing.
That's fantastic.
You can really get into the weeds on that thing. But
no pun intended.
Phylos Bioscience. You should check those guys out. Paul.
Okay, fair
PHYLOS. Yeah.
Well, and that wraps it up for tonight. I mean, my God, we ended with just some fantastic strains out there. If I ever come up, Jeff, I promise I'll smoke one with you. We'll go play some golf. But with that said, everybody, I want to thank Jeff here for bringing an awesome product to the golf market, folks. His zip towel, go to saucegolf.com and get yourself a zip towel. I didn't know about the promo code. I'm going to use that on a couple of these episodes coming up. So you said...
Yeah, pull hook 50, pull hooks all capital 50, very simple, 50% off.
Get 50% off, folks. Go and get those towels. And once again, we want to thank our sponsors, Swanee's Golf. Use pull hook golf 25 at checkout there for 25% off. But again, go to Sauce Golf, get yourself that towel for 50% off. That's a no-brainer right there. I absolutely love this thing. If you guys are out in Arizona around and see me out golfing, you will see this on my bag. That is for sure. So without further ado, Jeff, thanks again, man. Appreciate you. Hang on for us for just a second as we hop off air, all right?
Thanks so much, Matt. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and chat with you tonight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.